So I hope everybody watching had themselves an incredible weekend. Monday, it popped up on us way too quick. But the great news is that over the weekend, we had a whole bunch of leaks which hit sneakers. So today, we're going to be covering some Jordan releases, which you guys can look forward to returning coming up next year in 2026. Plus, you're going to want to stay tuned till the end as we have a Jordan brand collaboration, which just leaked. It looks like they're going to be teaming up with a fashion powerhouse, a rising brand, which I probably couldn't have predicted this one if we're being all the way honest. So it's an interesting collaboration. And on top of that, I'm going to be talking about why it's such a great move for Jordan brand. So stay tuned to kick things off. We're going to start with the first look. We got the Jordan 4 Toro Bravo, which is going to be one of those hype releases expected to return coming up summer of 2026. Now, I do want to say this is a first look, so I put quotations here because we all know anytime you see one of these pages such as XC Sneaker, XC Made, or anything like that, they're notoriously known for posting fake sneakers. But I do like to use this image as a reference point because generally I feel like they base their pairs off early samples, based off the factories, which they're producing right now. So it does kind of give us a look at what we can expect to see these look like come next year. But I just want to say, like, for the record, that things are all subject to change. But as far as this pair, it looks like these are going to be looking true to the original release, which the Toro Bravos originally dropped all the way back in 2013. You see, this was a play off of the Raging Bull 5s, which had released years prior to that one. So as far as this one, when these first dropped, they were already a hit back in 2013 due to the red color blocking, the Chicago theme. All red sneakers were really hot at that time. And over time, since Jordan brand hasn't brung these back since then, they've kind of gained like a cult-like status. They've definitely been a fan favorite. Some people would even refer to these as like a Grail Jordan release. So as far as next year's pairs, it looks like they're gonna be true to the original form, maybe just with like the updated shape of the Jordan 4. And then the interesting detail on the back, the OG release did feature the Jumpman. Based off this image, it does appear that it looks like the Jumpman will be returning on this release, which it looks like this year, a lot of Jordan 4 releases did feature the Nike Air on the back. So as far as next year's release, it's going to be interesting to see what Jordan brand does, as it does seem like a majority of these pairs, again, will be featuring the Jumpman on the back. So this will be a big one that many people will be looking to grab to rock on feet come next summer. Now, we also got breaking news according to Z Sneakerheads, some more Jordan brand classics which we can expect to see returning coming up next year. First up, we got the Jordan 9 OG set to return fall of 2026. When you talk about this shoe right here, this is one of the first Jordans was dropped after MJ's first initial retirement back in 1993. So these go so clean. Like, these are super crazy, right? I absolutely love this shoe. This is one which I'm probably gonna be looking forward to grabbing coming up next year. And when you talk about Jordan 9s, some people refer to these as like the playoff 9s, which I have no clue where that nickname came from, because if I'm not mistaken, when MJ returned from his from that first retirement from the game of baseball, he was rocking the Jordan 10s for a short little stint until the 11s actually debuted. So I'm not really sure where they get the playoff nickname from. This is also a shoe which some people call the Space Jam 9s, which MJ definitely did rock these in the film Space Jam. But for me, as like a kid, I remember idolizing MJ coming up. And when I saw Space Jam, the sneakers which I remember definitely were the 11s, but these are definitely clean regardless. Pac rocked these back in the day. If you guys are wondering like how to style a sneaker like this, you got to go all the way 90s. So when you catch me rocking these joints next year, you'll probably catch me rocking these with like the one pant leg, pulled up just like that, man. Gotta love this one. Straight 90s vibes all the way. And I'm happy to see this one return. Definitely a classic, iconic Jordan brand release. Next up, we have the Jordan 8 Chrome, which this one's expected to return as well, fall of 2026. This sneaker, the history behind it, it wasn't an original Jordan 8 release, but this sneaker actually debuted back in 2003. So some of the history as far as this drop right here, this was a shoe which during Kobe Bryant's sneaker free agency period, remember when he was transitioning from Adidas, where he eventually signed his deal with Nike, he was spotted rocking a whole bunch of random different shoes, and these Jordan 8 Chromes were one of those. So for a lot of people that like grew up during that time, maybe some people kind of consider these almost like a Kobe PE, low key. You also got to consider the fact that, for people that never were able to grab the Jordan 8 playoffs, which I feel like this shoe's kind of based off of, right? Let's say when they were a kid, they weren't able to grab those. And then when they were adults, they kind of went back and grabbed these as almost like a, consolation prize for people that had nostalgia. And then for the people back then, they have nostalgia for this release, which they weren't able to grab. So we did see Jordan brand actually bring these back in 2015. My rule is usually if a Jordan hasn't dropped in over like 10 years or so, it's fair game to see these return. But for some reason, I just feel like this is one maybe Jordan brand should let marinate just a little bit. But then again, I'm never sad to see a Jordan, which people love, to always return. So it's cool to see these joints return, And think about in 2003, right, as far as the NBA, that was the year that MJ retired for the second time. I know you guys remember that All-Star game, where he hit that little shot at the last second. It felt like that was going to be the game winner in overtime until Kevin Garnett just like absolutely dominated and took home the MVP that year. But 2003, that All-Star game specifically kind of felt like it was a moment where like MJ was kind of like passing the torch down to Kobe, as well as some of the other rising stars in the league at that time, such as like Allen Iverson, the list goes on. So that was definitely a cool pair. As far as them returning, well, I feel like maybe they could let these marinate just for a little longer. I mean, how could I be mad to see a shoe like this, a dope Jordan release expected to return coming up next year? Now, this one is where things get interesting, right? We got the black patent, I guess what they're calling these, Air Jordan 17 Low. Now, you guys already know I love the Jordan 17 just due to the fact that Jordan models 15 and up never get that much love. I felt like Jordan Brand has done a poor job throughout the years of kind of like, bringing these into the scene. So as far as any 17 to return, I'm all about it. But when you talk about this patent leather look right here, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about these. Again, this is just a mock-up image. So I guess maybe we should kind of wait to reserve judgment until we see what these officially look like. So as far as this one, to kind of gauge the reaction, people's first thoughts, I think it would be a good moment to kind of look at the comment section right here for Z Sneakerheads post. This dude put, Somebody put, bring that here. Okay, he rocking with him. This dude put, they really don't want to release the mids yet. That's right, yeah, because when you talk about 17s, they got mids, highs, and then the lows. Of course, everybody's going to bring up these shoes right here, which, what's the deal, Jordan Brand? Somebody put, scrap that patent. Somebody put, the original lows were perfect. Why? Way too much patent leather. These are fire. Okay, so we got a little love for these. Yeah, I'm good on these. Poop. These are a miss in my opinion. All right, so when you talk about this shoe, it seems like for the most part, not everybody's rocking with them. Again, the 17s aren't gonna get as much love as like a classic Jordan Retro 1 through 14, but I'm just excited to see them bringing out more 17s as far as like the full patent leather upper. We'll have to wait on it. So I think this is one of those releases which before we like jump the gun and just say these are trash, let's wait to see what these officially look like. So again, that's gonna be an interesting one. Again, set to return fall of 2026. So that brings us here. Lastly, we got the Jordan Mowalola collaboration, which I ain't gonna lie, like I never would have predicted this one. Apparently, she's gonna be getting various sneakers as well as clothing items, which I think is a great look, including the classic iconic Jordan 14. Now, if you guys are unfamiliar with Mowalola, she's one of the kind of rising names in the kind of fashion street world scene. I kind of almost want to compare this to Jordan Brand teaming up with like Who Decides War, but low key, I would probably say Mowalola might be a hotter name currently in the fashion scene than Who Decides War. So I think there's going to be a very interesting collaboration, one that I'm intrigued of, which I'm going to expand on more. So as far as Mowalola, some of her other work, she has teamed up with other major footwear brands such as Crocs, which you guys see right here. This is her collaboration, which she brought an interesting kind of graffiti design, to some of these classic Croc silhouettes. So not mad at that at all. It's going to be interesting to see, as far as the design element, what she brings to the table when you talk about the Jordan 14, because Mowalola, I feel like some of her early work was kind of inspired by the whole Y2K aesthetic, which has gone kind of like full mainstream at this point right here. Some of her other classic staple pieces would include this kind of like graffiti bomber jacket, which she actually did a play off the New York Knicks logo right here, transforming the NY over to a M, for Mowalola. So that was one of her classic staple pieces. And then she's probably most known in like the mainstream world, for her work with Yeezy. She was the one that designed this kind of wet t-shirt, which was like one of these viral hits that like every chick was rocking on Instagram, showing all the goods and everything. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about right here. This joint has been bootlegged, all that, which is always just a sign of how popular an item becomes. So as far as her collaborating with Jordan Brand, the reason I think this is such a great move is because, there's so much talk about Jordans not being as popular as they once were. I feel like that's debatable in its own right mind. But as far as Jordans being as popular as they once were in the streetwear scene, I think that's definitely a fact. Remember back in like 2015 through like say like 2020, the Jordan 1, Jordan 4s were like a staple in the streetwear scene. And since then, it feels like a lot of those kids have kind of like moved on to other stuff. So as far as Jordan Brand teaming up with a brand like Mowalola, I feel like this is going to be great because we're going to get Jordans like on the feet of a lot of these fashion enthusiasts. So I think this is going to be a major move as well for the future Jordan brand, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what this model looks like. Again, the 14 originally dropped, what was that, back in like 97, 98, something like that. Mowalola, based off the whole Y2K aesthetic. I think this is going to be a great mashup, and I'm really intrigued to see, what we get out of this partnership collaboration right here. So as far as all these Jordan brand leaks, let me know which pairs you guys are most excited for. We can't forget we got the Toro Bravo 4s, a fan favorite, which released 10 plus years back. Going to be returning coming up next summer. Also confirmed breaking news from Z Sneakerheads, Jordan 9 OG. Some people call them the Space Jams. We got the Jordan 8 Chromes returning. A lot of people have nostalgia for that pair from 2003. Some people call these a Kobe PE. These are dope. And then an interesting one, the Jordan 17 Black Patent, which off the verse rip, a lot of people aren't rocking with, but I would say let's wait to reserve judgment on this one. So as far as all the leaks that you saw today, let me know which pairs you guys are most excited for, which ones you gotta grab, or do you feel like a lot of these are just trash? Drop your feedback down below. JATV. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. If you guys enjoyed the video, you got to help support the channel by smashing the like button. Plus, if you enjoy the content, if you're rocking with the channel, consider subscribing. Come along for the journey. As always, guys, I'll catch you next time. In the meantime, stay safe, stay blessed. I'm out. Love.